Hello everyone. This is a research methodology recap video. The purpose of this video is to take cognizance of where we are in research methodology and how we go about solving a particular problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the various steps of research methodology. Again, I'm not going to get in very deep. I believe that I'll leave specific points, specific session numbers where you can directly go and read about the minute details that sir has mentioned, or we can have a separate video for that. But this is just to take a overall glance on how to go about solving a particular problem, and how we'll take one problem and we'll try to map out the procedure that we are going to follow. So I'll just begin, I guess. So the first thing comes that what is the subject all about? So research methodology, as Sir has defined it, is the systematic investigation of a reality, where basically we try to understand how a particular phenomena takes place, or how a particular phenomena is affected by certain purviews that surround it. So, to be really honest, research methodology is more of a thought process of justifying to coming to a conclusion than just being a process per se. So, it is a standard process. So, the idea is that anyone anywhere in the world can understand why you came to this conclusion, and they can justify that, okay, these are the correct steps that you took, and this is a correct conclusion that you came from. That is why there is a need for being uniform in our approach. So this is the most important slide, I guess, of the entire subject. So basically, this basically gives you a step-by-step process of how we go about solving a particular problem. So the first issue is the first point is the problem identification. Now, when I say problem identification, this is a very crucial step. Problem identification takes a lot of time. Like coming from a consulting background, like it is a whole big issue, because if you're not solving the right problem, or if you're not identifying the right gap, you may be ending up solving a completely different you may end up solving a completely different problem that might not even have existed in the first place. Second is choosing the research design. So understanding how we are going to proceed with the research, how we are going to solve this particular problem is very crucial in order to solve that problem. Third is data collection. So anything from surveys or observation, data collection becomes very inherent in that part. Fourth is data preparation, which is after you collected data, how do you prepare that data for analysis? How do you arrange that data in a manner that it's consumable, or it can be derived insights from? And then the second last step is the analysis, which is where you do the actual meaty grindy work after data preparation. So this is where I spend most of my time in my work experience in. And the final part is the reporting. So this is a part that Sukaran sir will take. This is mostly presenting the data so that it is easily consumable and direct insights can be taken out by business leader, like probably what we are going to do. A very important note that I made over here was not letting any biases creep in at any stage. So what is bias? Bias is probably my particular. So if I grew up in a surrounding, let's say I have an understanding of something, and just because of my understanding of something, I'm letting that define my research methodology process. So that is not at all desired at any step. Because that will deter my objective of research. The research is always unbiased. Like we try to keep it always unbiased, regardless of our opinions of on that subject matter, so that we can have hypotheses that we would want to test, but like bias in collecting sample data, or bias in analyzing the reports, it hampers the entire process of research methodology. So what we are going to do now is take a particular problem. So we are going to take, let's say, the first example that sir had given, given, which is uh, how to improve customer satisfaction for Indigo Airlines. Okay, so now this is the problem that we are going to take, and we are going to now walk through each and every step and see how they are solving. So the first step, like I mentioned, it's very important to understand what our problem is regarding and how we are like what all aspects are there of a particular problem. So consider a problem like a particular point on a consider it at a point on a blank sheet of paper. Now there are several ways you can attempt it. Okay, right? So in our case, which is basically solving a particular problem regarding customer satisfaction, you can approach it from a consumer point of view. But what are the stakeholders about? What are the industry standards for that particular problem? These all need to be taken care of. So that is why consulting firms spend a lot of time in defining an issue tree. So how do we go about it? Yep. So how do we go about it? So basically what happens is that for an issue tree, first we have a root of the tree. So basically how we are planning to do is we basically write down the actual problem that we are trying to solve, which in our case is customer satisfaction for Indigo Airlines, which will come in the root now. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to create buckets of factors that we think is going to be elemental in solving our problem. So, let's say for Indigo Airlines, it could be anything, right? It could be from right from their on ground support to what kind of satisfaction levels are the competitors matching. So, the basic way of defining these particular buckets is that they all should be mutually exclusive and completely exhaustive. What do I mean by that? By mutually exclusive, I mean that if I'm making a particular bucket, that bucket should not overlap with another bucket. That the factors included in that bucket always be restricted to that particular bucket only. And by completely exhaustive is that all the factors that I think that are relevant to my particular problem through my industry research or any kind of secondary research that I undertake, all those factors should be included in this. So, for an example, Sir walked us through an example of should Sonia Gandhi be the next Prime Minister of India. So, our primary branch consisted what are the quality required of PM of India. How many of those qualities are in the Sonia Gandhi? Is there a better alternative? So, if you see that these are three completely different buckets, there is no overlap in this. The qualities part is not overlapping with alternate part. And similarly, what this does is that our secondary branching as well, as a result, should become completely non-overlapping with the other buckets as well. So this is about the issue tree. Like I mentioned, for Indigo, we'll have our issue tree based on the industry, probably the on-ground support and the on-air support, because that is the consumer journey that we kind of undertake. A quick note, if this is up to you to take or not, but one of the ways that we used to make such decision trees is that we used to bifurcate based on stakeholders. So basically, um, air crew and then ticket booking system. So what all these systems do is that now these will automatically become completely exclusive. There is no overlap between all these. So yeah, that's one way of defining an issue tree. And another thing that Sir talked about in session 2 as well was how to start a research journey. So in research journey, Sir mentioned steps like you can reach out to your professors, you can do secondary research in case you want to undertake research while in MICA. So you can go back and have a listen to that in case you have an interest in that. Now coming to the third part, so this is the research design. So like I mentioned before, research design basically charts out a path on what you are going to do further. Now that you have all the factors related to your particular problem, which is let's in our case regarding customer satisfaction, what are the accepted rules, frameworks, and guidelines for conducting that particular research. So in this, there are basically two types of research design. One is exploratory research design, and second is uh, a culmination of the two, descriptive and causal, which is conclusive research design. What's the difference between these two? Broadly speaking, exploratory is on the side of where you don't know where you are going to get. So basically, like in our case, we want to see, let's say our problem would have been what factors are influencing particular customer satisfaction. But what we are trying to do, how to improve customer satisfaction. Now, these are two different problems. Like one does include the second one, but if our objective is different, our path of doing the research will also be different. So descriptive, there is a descriptive research design, and the third one is the causal research design. So one good example would be, probably I want to understand the effect of corona on flight bookings. So that is like determining a direct cause and effect relationship. Of course, in a particular research design, when we want to come to a conclusion, sometimes it gets a little bit of tricky category that you have to vary between the two. So basically, first you would begin with exploratory data analysis to understand what factors are directly implicating my particular area that I want to explore, and then you establish, okay, how much are these factors having effect based on the assumptions that you have taken.